This lesson, we are going to be looking at local storage. So first of all, let's go into our application and select a countdown date to count down to. So now it's 20 days, 22 hours, 46 minutes, 43 seconds till that selected time date. But what happens if I refresh my page? I lose my current settings. So I want to store this in local storage. And luckily for us, JavaScript has such a feature called local storage that allows us to send and store content into the local storage of the document. So the document's origin. There's an example here on how it works. So you can set a value in local storage. You can get a value from local storage. You can remove an item from local storage, and you can clear all of your local storage. So now we're going to be looking at local storage and setting content within the local storage. So try that out, and let's open up our editor and add it into our application. So we want to check to see if there is a value in the local storage whenever we load the page. And that's going to give us a value that we can look at and we can utilize within our code. So let's check to see if there's a saved value. And using our local storage object and get item. So we're going to look for an item that we're going to get from it. And we're going to look for a property value for countdown. And if there isn't anything, then we're going to set the value of saved value to false. Next, let's check to see if saved value exists. So if there was a value, it's going to have that value in there. Otherwise, it's just going to be false and we can skip over it. So we know that we can start the clock with whatever value is that we've saved there. So we're saving that into the temp value, and we can start the clock. So that means that this temp value is what we need to store in the local storage, and we can do that down here where we're starting the clock. So on change, where we're building out this, use local storage, the local storage object, and then set item. And now we're going to set a value for countdown. And this is the same property value that we're trying to get the item from. And we need to set whatever that value is. So we're going to set that temp value. And actually, this is not going to be temp, it's going to be saved value. So we're setting the clock. Instead of with temp, we're going to use that saved value that we saved. So let's refresh that. Set a new value, set it, refresh it again. And now you see when I'm hitting this refresh, and I am hitting refresh, nothing is changing. We still got our countdown and it's still operational because we're actually saving it within local storage. And that's how you can save it within the local storage. And one thing that you might have noticed is that if I set a time here and if I refresh it, my input field loses that input value. So we need to update that value, and let's add that value to the input. So we can call it input value for now as a temporary value. And we need to take a new date object with whatever the value of temp is. And for now, we can console log that out, input value. It's going to be whatever the saved value is. So let's refresh. So you can see that I'm outputting that saved value. And now it's just a matter of updating the input field. So that we can do because we've already got it within an object format called end date. So taking that end date, and this is where we can update that input value. So let's refresh. And so now whatever value we're storing, and even though we're refreshing, we see that it's getting updated within that value of the end date. And you have to make sure that you use value as date. You could also do value, but what's going to happen is when you do value, it's not going to output it property. So the way to update the date, the input field with a type date, is to use value as date, and that's how you can convert a date object into a usable format that can be used within that input field. So go ahead and add this into your project and store your values to local storage so you're never going to lose your countdown time, and you can always refresh it and not to worry that you can go on to other pages, come back, and your countdown is still there. So go ahead and add this into your project as well.